Hi everyone, Miles Weatherseed here, answering Matt Dewberry's question, which was essentially what's the racing calendar like at uni, and what's your experience been like in your uni running club? So I should say I'm Oxford. I've been here now for 6 years. So I did my undergrad and now I'm doing a PhD, and I've been really involved in the running throughout the entirety of my time here. And my experience, I should say, like straight off the bat, has been so positive. So I was at Jubb beforehand, and was, I'd say, reasonably spoilt with the running setup we have there. Kind of going off to races every single Wednesday, often winning them, and having that great setup with loads of people keen to get involved. Mr. Fraser pulling the strings, and then also the great setup at Tunbridge that supports the whole thing. So I was a bit nervous when going off to uni that I would perhaps not have such a great experience, and I would realise that I was really just, as I say, quite spoiled at school. But I'd say it's like that's been anything but the case. It's certainly different. It's to start with, it's all student led, so the running club and all the kind of positions on that are held by students, and they really are the ones calling the shots with which races you do and stuff like that. But it's just a really like fun and sociable environment, and also one that can be really conducive to your development as an athlete. So I definitely think my experience has been very positive. But in terms of races, so at Oxford, our kind of main rivals are Cambridge. So I guess I don't know if it's still the case, but when I was at Judd, our main rivals were St Albans, and I'd say that the rivalry is really quite similar there. So for us, our like main fixture and our main focus is the Varsity match, which takes place every December, um, and that's just a pretty unreal event, to be honest. There's like 8 people from Oxford and 8 people from Cambridge selected for the Blues team, which is kind of the A team. And just those 16 people running the race head to head over a 7.5 mile course that has stuff like you go through a stream and things like that. It's a really cool course just around Wimbledon Common. Um, so that's something that's unique to Oxford and Cambridge, but that's a really special fixture. But also, I should say that most of the other Russell Group unis will also have like a varsity fixture against whoever their local rival is. Um, so I'd say there's still like a nice element of rivalry that carries through to uni, and that keeps things interesting. Um, in terms of direct comparisons with the fixture list that you have currently, which is probably, well, COVID aside, is probably Coventry, Knoll, Schools Cup when you're a bit younger, I guess, is also quite a big fixture. I think the closest thing to the Knoll run is almost certainly going to be BUCs, which is the British University's cross country champs, and so that takes place every year in January or late January, early February. Kind of rotates where it happens around. So I've been to Sheffield, Brunel, Edinburgh last year, so all over. And that is just an enormous event. Like I'd say it's the Knoll Run on steroids essentially. Um, so you'll have loads of unis sending teams of 50, maybe even 100 people, some just to spectate. But so it's a really crowded venue. There's On the men's side, there's a long and a short course, so that is essentially the A and the B race. Um, so the A race is just uni's top 6 runners, I think, and then the B race is the rest of the people. And the B race in particular, which I've predominantly taken part in, is just a really crazy event. Because at the front you've got really top end runners battling it out for the places. But then there's 500, 600 people further back, quite often more there for the occasion, should we say, and may be in fancy dress, partially unclothed sometimes. Like it really is just almost a carnival of university running, and a really good atmosphere. And then the whole event culminates with um, quite a big organised night out by whoever's hosting, and so that's a great chance to mix with the other unis and catch up with friends from school or friends from Tunbridge or whatever. So yeah, BUCs is an unbelievable event, really great. Every year we're kind of looking forward to it, and then once it's over, you're a bit gutted and waiting for the next one. But in terms of, I guess, like smaller fixtures that are more akin to, say, St Albans relays, RGS relays, and stuff like that, that really will just depend on which uni you go to. But speaking from my experience in Oxford, we host a relay race, which is kind of like a bigger version of the FH Taylor, perhaps. So it's called the Teddy Hall Relays, and it's like a 5K relay legs. And it's got more of a local draw than BUCs. So we tend to just get other unis from the southeast or the Midlands coming to take part. And there's lots of other events that other unis host. So Imperial will host the Hyde Park Relays, which is also a great event. And there's lots of things like that. But which ones you actually end up doing will really just depend on where you go. Because as I say, those races are really quite regional. So yeah, I would just probably conclude by saying that the fixture list is not going to be as densely populated as the Judd fixture list, but that doesn't necessarily make your experience any worse. I think, although it's very fun at school, kind of being driven to these races and getting to do them and then getting to be taken home, it's quite a convenient service that you have there, and it would be a bit of a faff trying to get around the country to all these different races while at uni. And definitely in terms of staying on top of your work, it's not a bad thing either. But there's enough races that you have something to always be building up to and kind of targeting. And as I say, when the races do take place, particularly BUCs and some of the others, they are just on a much bigger scale than what you're used to at school, and they're pretty memorable events. So yeah, hopefully that answers at least in part your question. And if there's anything else you'd like to know, or if I've not made anything quite clear, then do feel free to just reach out and I'll let you know. Cheers.